Hello, and welcome to KULT Divinity Lost, the place of wrath and tears. This is the second arc in an ongoing storyline that began about 6 months ago and will be continuing. This game will be set in 1957 in Las Vegas. This is a very interesting time because we are in the middle of the most extensive nuclear testing near to Vegas this year, with 34 nuclear detonations going off just this year, just in Nevada. Many other interesting things, including the opening of an extremely expensive hotel called the Tropicana, which we'll be seeing lots of. Let's talk about what has happened before in this story so everyone is caught up. In the Great Depression, a Pittsburgh industrialist named Malus VanHorsts adopted children from various parents. He brought them to his home, raised them as his own, and prepared them for a life beyond anything that they could have imagined. Upon his death, it was discovered that he was a member of a cult, a terrible cult, who, while planned not for child soldiers, but terrible, brutal fates awaited these young ones anyway. They broke those chains. They cast down those who would attempt to control them. They learned many things, most of which they wish they did not, and found themselves for the first time in their lives free. Now, 3 years later, they're in Las Vegas, following a name of someone they saw die, someone who should be very, very, very dead. But his name lives on. So let's get started. It is morning. One of the halls of the Tropicana Resort has a waiter in a beautiful white tuxedo jacket with black lapels, a wonderful, freshly shined room service cart with several cloches and other heat-containing things on there. And it rolls to the end of one of the long, expansive hallways of the Tropicana Hotel. This cart is being pushed by a young man, probably in his late teens, maybe 20 at most. His name is James Austin. He is Jimmy to his friends. But there's something wrong with Jimmy. He's dead. Jimmy made a bad choice. Jimmy made a bad bet. Jimmy owes somebody something, and he didn't get to go because that somebody has that kind of power. So a young dead boy wrapped in the illusion knocks on your door.
Matthew is already dressed because he's the one who called the room service.
Of course.
He's got his suit jacket on, but it's the morning, no tie. They're on vacation. He'll look back to make sure that his sisters are decent.
You want me to cover these up?
Clara.
What, you're gonna get jealous?
Always.
All right, for you.
He checks to see how Bethany seems to be doing.
Bethany just gives him a wave. She's wrapped up in her dressing gown. She has rolled her eyes at Clara from across the suite because this is ridiculous. And oh my God, fine.
Matthew
Very
smiles. And he opens the door.
The door opens. Jimmy is handsome. He's got the kind of shave that only a single blade safety razor gives you. He, in about 2 years that he's never going to get, he would have filled out this tuxedo. Right now, there's just a little bit around the collar, a little bit around the wrists, where it's just ever so slightly too big. But he inclines his head as appropriate, wheels the cart in, looks around for the table, looks at Matthew. Would you like me to place things on the table, sir?
Please.
Okay. So he starts laying out food. Matthew, what did you order for breakfast?
I ordered a hearty breakfast, something to sop up the night before. Eggs, toast, bacon, sausage. A bit predictable, but something that is, if made well, a sop to the soul.
Americana on a plate.
Basically.
Very good. Clara, is there any food here, or is it just a second carafe of coffee and another bottle of whiskey?
Coffee, whiskey, 2 egg whites, and half a grapefruit. But things to wash down her usual dose of barbiturates that she takes in the morning because she's an actress and the doctors gave them to her. And that's how she wakes up nowadays.
Okay. I'm sure that's all going to sit very nice and lightly on her stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Bethany, can you eat this morning?
Bethany ordered a soft-boiled egg and some toast, so we'll see.
Fair enough. As the boy places the food, coffee, and this is, let us recall, this is extensive service. These are not clunky diner mugs. These are teacups, there are sausage, there are silver spoons, everything is brought. There are the flourishes as he shows you the food. When he looks at you to make sure that the things you're seeing are okay, this is not merely a custom. He is ensuring there is real concern, there is real desire. This is the way you are used to being treated. And it's maybe a little slice of home to have that brought all the way here into this hot, bright, flat, dusty place so far away from the rolling hills and mountains of your homes.
Matthew gives him a smile. It's always important to treat the help well. He tips him well. He doesn't speak very much other than to tell him where to put things.
Okay. Bethany, you can't tell if it's the waiter or the food, but something isn't particularly right. There's something rotten, but not wet rot. It's dry rot. It's the kind of decay that begins with the sun stealing all of the moisture out of it. Maybe it's that bitter taste of desert wind that practically pushed itself down your throat as you got off the plane, coming back as a sense memory. But it's going to be a rough day, it seems. Not the roughest you've had, but certainly not going to be great.
Bethany's skipping breakfast.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, we managed to get...
My darling, 2 bites.
No, I can't. Has the waiter left yet?
He's on his way out the door. He has been tipped. The food has been deployed. He is on his way out with his little cart. Now empty of his offerings.
Back a significant glance and then looks at her siblings.
Matthew is used to Bethany kind of asking questions when it comes to, am I seeing the right thing? He will also kind of look more closely at good old Jenny, just to kind of see if she needs reassurance that what she's seeing isn't real, or if she is seeing something that is real.
He seems okay. You know, he seems like a young kid. It's moderately early in the morning. He's probably been at work since about 5 o'clock doing all of the manual labor required for such a place. So he's probably a little tired. This probably isn't the first time he's pushed 20 pounds of food and plates down that hallway.
Ben, Clara this is her second drink of the morning and just down 2 pills. I'd like to roll for enhanced awareness as she's really staring at the waiter now. She does not know if Bethany's having a day or actually seeing something, but she is staring at him because she trusts her sister's insanity more than she used to. And I got a 13 for enhanced awareness.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah. Means I didn't rip open the lie again.
Thank you.
That's good.
Not the way to start.
I mean,
The Tropicana seems to be exactly what it is, a nexus point of vice and power in the form of money and debt, desperation, luxury, and yeah, there's something dusty and dry and dead here, and definitely Jimmy's a part of it, but it's so subtle. There's nothing malicious, there's nothing malignant, there's no terrible, you know, when you see something that isn't real or you see something that's too real, 9 times out of 10 it's been a brutal moment, and it's maybe remember Jimmy.
Now Clara doesn't want to eat. She kind of steps into the next room and starts putting on her jewelry.
Clara?
This place smells weird, dead. I don't know. It doesn't smell like home.
That's inarguable.
Of course it doesn't smell like home, but does it smell wrong? Matthew has taken a quick sip of his coffee and replaced about half of the cup with whiskey now that Jimmy is no longer in the room.
Okay.
Because propriety.
Yes.
But he's looking between his sisters and is definitely worried at this point.
It's been a while since the world's gone weird on you, hasn't it?
Yes. That's why he's not immediately trying to reach to try to see more. It's like an unused muscle.
I don't know. It's just wrong. You don't smell it?
Matthew will concentrate. I'd like to use magical intuition.
Sure.
That is 9 plus 2 plus 2 is 13. So I can choose up to 2 options. One may be saved until later.
Okay.
In this case, I would probably be trying to learn if something, because I'm going to save the creature's true nature aspect when I next see Jimmy, if I do. But I'm going to try to learn if something has a magical nature. And I'm kind of trying to get a feel for, like, is there something a little off about the hotel itself?
The hotel is new. It's extremely new. It's new, and there's a vibrancy to newness. It kind of has, if you could imagine that a building has the bright green of fresh buds. Nothing has been decayed, nothing has been damaged. There are not decades of wear and tear. The carpets still have the same springiness as the cheeks of a young woman. It's alive in many ways. And coming from Pittsburgh and coming specifically from the VanHorsts home, it feels a little alien.
Yeah.
To be somewhere so new, so clean, without the edges worn down, without the brass having the shine put on it from 100 years of hands. But maybe this deserves a look outside.
He definitely goes to the window for that.
The Tropicana is on a square lot. The hotel is built like a Y with a stubby bottom leg. So it's a Y and then two long pieces that jut out. You are in this Y. There are rooms going down each side. The small part of the Y and the hub of where the legs meet are where the restaurants and the gambling and the front desk and all of that are. There are parking lots, and the parking lots are these beautiful, perfectly straight lines of everything, of all the cars set up to be at a 30-degree angle. All of these new, shiny American cars, undulled by the desert sand, still with their factory polish on them. There's a pool. It's a very nice one. There's, I believe, some golf. It's an incredible place. But right outside that square is untamed desert. There is no transition. It's not like when a yard turns into field, turns into forest, where it's a gradual seduction. This is abrupt. And that line between the place that man has conquered, that is stepping over that line. If anywhere is going to feel like it has a power to you, it's the fact that such two extremes are so sharply defined against each other. The ravenous desert and the endless outward-facing siege of civilization. That's where the strange is. That's where the unpleasant is. The things that you imagine are things that come out of the desert, that stand at the edge of the golf course and breathe and slaver and pant and piss stinking urine so that everyone knows that they were there.
Matthew looks discomfited, is a good way of putting it. He looks out the window, and there is the look of a king whose castle is besieged.
Mm-hmm.
Would be the way that I would put it. You know, that sort of idea of, oh, I have power here, but I don't have power out there. And that's a problem.
That is a very accurate assessment from Matthew's mind.
Yes. Because there are problems with him.
Yes. But aside from the fact that the howling, eternal, name-eating desert is just kind of right over there, it's a really nice place.
A+. He'll look back at the sisters and he'll say, I will try to get... I can't see what you're seeing, but I'll try to look at Jimmy some other time.
It might be nothing. Claire's dressed herself now in a very tight leopard print, wilder than what she wears back home dress. But she looks over to Bethany and goes, "We've all got eyes on it. You'll be okay. Have a bite and something to drink and get dressed."
I don't want to eat while I smell that smell.
Maybe we can go somewhere where you can eat. You didn't have a big dinner.
I taste it when I breathe. I don't want to eat.
We'll find somewhere nice for lunch, honey. Somewhere nice that smells good. Maybe waterfalls. They have everything here. Okay. And she kisses Bethany's cheek and then comes up to Matthew. Vacation? No tie?
I'm trying to let loose a little bit. And he places a hand on the back of her, at the small of her back, and kisses her gently.
Alexander Perino of LA, of Perino's in LA, has 3 restaurants here. He was dragged away or tempted away, maybe might be a more accurate description. But the food here promises to be decadent and multifarious. So
I heard they grabbed the Alexander Perino. Remember Perino's when I was filming out in LA? I think they have him here. She kind of picks up the hotel directory. Yep. For lunch. He's the best.
Okay.
He was great in LA, and I'm certain he'll be better here.
We'll get something, a true spread.
Oh, yes. There is the theater restaurant, which is exactly what it sounds. It's tiered. There's a semicircular stage, dozens of dancers. It just Vegas in the 50s is the theater restaurant, with a fairly famous name of Eddie Fisher, who's done several songs that you've caught yourself humming over the last decade. There is the Brazilian room, and then there is the gourmet room. It's Perino's gourmet room, and that is where the menu is in French. And if you don't say it right, the waiter gives that very distinct little sniff that lets you know that you mangled your way through the language. But that's home base for you 3.
We wouldn't do that. We're VanHorsts.
You got it.
Regrettably, there is no Genever in the bar.
We'll survive.
Maybe.
Flask.
We brought it from home. We're all good.
Emergency supplies. That's Clara's version of the wife's emergency
Oh, it is.
cabinet.
Yep.
Emergency pantry, the nuclear bomb pantry. It's just 5 bottles of Genever.
This awful Scandinavian liqueur. Yes, it is, because Papa liked it.
And that's what matters.
But actually, seeing the state that Bethany is in, Clara goes to her suitcase, because it's definitely not in the minibar here, pulls out a bottle of Jennifer, puts it in Bethany's coffee, and is like, "Have that for some color in your cheeks, and get dressed, my dear."
Bethany will drink her coffee and
Yes.
she'll leave them to go have breakfast and go take her coffee to go get dressed.
And if the sense memory of that doesn't do it, then the actual herbal apocalypse that crawls up your nose certainly will do the rest of the job. You guys don't have anything to do for most of the day. Around dinner time, you have a meeting with your contact here, the one who kind of the inciting phone call that has put you on a plane in the middle of the night. Officer Michael DeFontaine of the Nevada Gaming Control Board contacted one of Matthew's most trusted and respectable friends in the Pittsburgh Police Department. The one who handled the Phoenix bombing, where, according to the newspapers and the police, you were held captive by communists
What a
and barely
tragedy.
escaped with your lives.
I still have scars from those communists.
Yes,
Saved those women and that baby.
and their rending claws and their
Yes.
terrible wings and their burning eyes. Those
Awful
communists.
Those were just, you know how the red are.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Matthew feels there is a discomfort in the fact that we have nothing to do technically until dinner, because there's that sort of feeling of, but we should be doing things, we should be having business meetings. Matthew is bad at vacations, but now he has a goal, which is to make sure that Bethany eats at lunch, and to ask Clara repeatedly how to pronounce the French words that we need to use, because obviously he needs to order the meals, but it's very difficult for him to do so in French. So I think that there's definitely a period of time where he's just like, Clara, you need to just repeat it again.
When he pulls her aside, she kind of takes him into the back bedroom that they're sharing.
Yes.
She's not sleep in her own bed last night. And looks at him and goes, "We don't have to go to the gourmet place. I actually would rather go to the theater one. I want to see what they're doing out here. But I need to know how we're playing this, Matthew. Nobody knows who we are out here. We could, if I am not being myself and if I'm not trying to make us contacts and see if I can get in one of these movies they're shooting or anything, then we could just be together. We could just walk down. I know you have your police contact and he knows who we are, and then it doesn't matter. And if it doesn't matter and if we're not doing that, then I would rather go to the theater place because I would like to meet some people that maybe can give me something to do with my life."
He holds her face and he just looks at her and he says, you know that I wish that we could just walk down the street together, the way that both of us wish that we could walk down the street together. But we can't. We have here, we have when we are together alone or with Bethany. So if you want to go to the theater place, if you want to have those contacts, we can have that, and we can do that. But you know what would happen. You know the risk that we would be taking if we were careless.
Nobody even knows that we're here, other than your contact.
And if they find out?
Fine then, we play it like home. We wouldn't go to the gourmet at home anyway. We're still making our own names. People want to see us out in public.
Then let's go. He strokes her cheek. Clara, I love you.
I love you too. And this is the first time we've gotten out of Pittsburgh since your divorce. And I just thought maybe, I don't know what I thought. Never mind. It's fine. I'll get us reservations at the theater, and then you don't have to worry about the French, and I can start talking to people. Love you. And she kind of picks up her drink and storms out of their back room.
He takes a moment just to get things under control, and then he will follow.
Bethany, this doesn't sound like the first time they've had this argument. How used are you to your siblings playing this same old song?
Forever. Doing the same thing forever. The only thing different this time is the backdrop.
That's true. So, with what passes for breakfast, weighing heavy on stomachs, and in at least one case weighing heavy on livers, there's a casino to look at. How do you want to take a look at things around here? See the sights at the very least? If you're looking at things, you don't have to be talking about things.
I know what Clara wants to do, but I will let other people go first because I just had a dramatic moment.
I agree on the dramatic moment aspect, and I'm curious about what Bethany wants to do.
Yeah.
I mean, Bethany actually wants to do is not any fun. Because she's still like, the desert tastes like death here, and I don't know how I feel about that, and everything is weird, and we're going to go down to this casino thing, and it's going to be very many people and bright and a lot.
It is.
But she doesn't want to stay in the room. She doesn't want to do the things that she had to do for 10 years at home. So she wants to go out and see things. She would just like her siblings to be a shield in front of her, please.
That's doable. I think that Matthew is looking for a distraction, certainly, both for Bethany and for Clara, because a lot of his dealing with emotions is, well, let's look at something else.
Yes.
So I think that that's definitely something that he's looking at. He's also definitely keeping an eye out for Jimmy or someone who, or if Bethany sees someone else that's like that, because of the fact that he still has that sort of lingering feeling from the intuition, since he has two aspects of it. But if he doesn't see him, which is absolutely possible in such a big hotel, then, it's okay if that's, just kind of falls by the wayside. But I think that a lot of what he's going to try to find is something that is distracting, perhaps, but not something that they can shield Bethany from, because he does worry about her when it comes to a lot of loud noises and flashing lights right in her face.
Think about it like when you take a very small child to an amusement park and they're very, very excited at the idea of going to the amusement park, and then they get there.
Yeah.
Or Bethany is.
Yeah, so we have to boil this sensory frog very slowly this morning.
Yeah.
So Clara's idea is being like the social director of the family who vaguely understands the scene that is going on here. She's going to look over the options at the hotel and in the directory and figure out where the men probably take their 3-martini lunch. Where is a good place for Matthew to go hobnob and rub elbows and flash some money and make some friends? And it being 1970 or 1957, it's probably a men's lounge. So she's going to be like, Matthew, go there. And then she is trying to get to where all the showgirls go on their breaks, which will be slightly quieter and not cheaper, but more back alley. And she can get a lot more rumors and information there. And it might not be as overwhelming to Bethany. That's her plan.
Also, let's all be honest. Putting Bethany amidst a bunch of showgirls is not like a detriment here.
No,
Not wrong.
she's definitely trying to distract both of you and go somewhere she can drink and maybe shoot up. So that's the plan.
I feel like this works.
The old
Really good at
combo
being a
wombo.
social director. Yeah.
Well, let's just say that in the Brazil room, because I like the way it sounds, there is what has become a men's lounge. There's kind of a semi-private bar over on the side that's not particularly labeled the men's lounge, but the fantastic social structure of the day has made it very clear what it is. And so, yes, there is polished wood, there is brass, there is big pieces of crystal clear ice and glasses, a plethora of amber-colored liquids available for your pursuit of various ages. The smell of cigarettes, of course, is everywhere and hangs over the air. It's a collection of smells that Matthew recognizes as the smell of power in many ways.
Matthew was like, my people.
Yes, and this is a fancy hotel, and this is an expensive hotel, and your people are there. There are bankers and money movers and owners of buildings and owners of factories who are there. Some whom you know by name, some whom you haven't met. There's a lot of elbows to rub. There's a lot of business cards to exchange. Hey, how are you doing this year? How are you doing this year? I think I heard about you. What's the name of your stock? Things like that. That conversation, the subtle but primal expression of money as power, wealth as authority that Matthew does so well, for better or for worse.
I think that definitely fits for him. Matthew is most uncomfortable with the idea of not continuing to have power in a lot of ways, like being on vacation away from his job, away from his duties, makes him also away from his seat of power in a lot of ways. And finding the hierarchies and finding the ways that the money moves in this area is, I think, his first goal. And that's the first thing that he's going to be doing is watching. And basically his pattern is to watch, to see which people he knows, to use those people to meet the people here who he has seen are hobnobbing with others who have more power. And so, like, it's the sort of thing where you ask, your friend, oh, do you know this person? Why wouldn't you introduce me? And that sort of aspect of, like, slowly using the knowledge that you're gaining from looking at people and from looking at how they move together to get your inroads, and to start doing that, because that's always sort of Matthew's comfort spot.
Mm-hmm.
And with the tenseness, especially the emotional tenseness that he had this morning, with the things that he can't control, with the things that he doesn't necessarily want to control, because his sisters and him, have already kind of come to the understanding that though he's often leading, he does not control them. That means that it is helpful for him to center himself again with, if I can't control that, if I can't make this all set and right easily, then at least I have my time when I can.
Okay. Well, let's see how the girls do backstage, and then when we come back to you, Matthew, you'll roll to read a person, which is plus intuition, and we'll see what your honed business sense and people sense have told you.
Excellent.
in the interim. So, the last time the both of you were on a stage, it was a very different place. It was a terrible place. And it was a bad memory. There were dead people attempting to impersonate you in a twisted attempt to claw their way out of a afterlife that they frankly probably earned and replace you in your own home. That memory comes back a little bit as the showgirls practice, because there is that symmetry, that repetition of size and shape as they've selected the chorus line. Everyone has to be the same height. The legs need to be the same length. There are no other concerns in this day and age other than the brutal materialistic concerns of the appearance for things such as this. And so seeing almost 36 variations on the theme of dancer and repose brings back those moments to you.
Claire is going to watch for a few minutes, check on Bethany and see how she's doing, but her goal was to find where the bar that they go to is between rehearsals or breaks. And so if it looks like they are not going to get a break soon, she'll be like, we can go find somewhere else, honey, if you prefer.
I don't know what I should go see.
I just wanted to sit with the girls and have a few drinks.
Okay.
The restaurant, right now you guys are in the theater restaurant. It's tiered, and it's around a semicircular stage. Clearly this is a place where it is designed that you sit down, you take your dinner, you have your drinks, and you watch the show. It is currently not open, but there is a bartender doing the necessaries of their day now. However, it seems that for this practice, when they are given their breaks, they walk their way over to the bar, where there is a generally unlimited supply of cold water with lemon in it, or whatever this year's lose weight and keep it off trick is. So maybe there's some grapefruit involved.
Definitely.
Maybe some dry white wine.
Yeah.
Whatever's supposed to save you from whatever's supposed to save you from the hell of American affluence. Clara, one of them has been kind of looking at you as they go on break and kind of giving you a real funny look.
Clara gives her best smile back and hops over and goes, I'm sorry, have we met before? I was here hoping that Eddie would stop by. I used to know him and Debbie back when they first got together, out in LA, but I'm certain they don't let him come out nowadays.
And the girl looks at you for a little while and says, are you from Pittsburgh?
Yeah, we both are. This is my sister Bethany. I'm Clara.
Oh my God, I was right. I told you I was right. It is a meal. It is one of the gals that did some of the dancing roles at the Civic Theater.
Oh, Emil. Oh, it's been ages. Oh my gosh, how are you?
Good. And there's just an explosion of greetings and highs and how are yous and
She
hugs
kisses and you look great, and
the very careful manipulation of one tear around the eye makeup.
Yes.
Um,
And Clara is careful to always keep Bethany at her side. Like, she is not ignoring Bethany for this. She's actually trying to get her included.
okay.
Even though Bethany does not know this careful dance, Clara's careful body language is that this is an important person to me and is probably being taken out like into the theater world for the first time ever. So that makes the showing off and the kisses and the look how beautiful our world is and look how beautiful we all are a little more prominent. Or she's trying.
Emile is a terrible actress. She has the facial range of the southbound end of a northbound mule. But she has perfect timing and the legs that are required for ballet and many of the other popular and traditional forms of dance that are around right now. And she has that dark blonde hair that can look brown when it's supposed to look brown and can look blonde when it's supposed to look blonde. And right now, her color is up. There's color in her cheeks from the exercise. And she is just thrilled to see you. She came out to Vegas in a hopes of picking up a job and seems to have succeeded. She came out, she worked tables, she auditioned. She did the thing.
Mm-hmm.
She did the thing that you didn't. And she can't act worth a damn. She and her legs got her on a fucking stage in Las Vegas.
Yep. Clara is smiling. She's a great actress. She is very happy to see Emile and very happy for her and absolutely acting like she is Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds' bestie.
Yes.
And good at that acting and really needs a drink.
Yes. The morning's initial barbiturates are menacing their way through your system right now, and the harsh edges of an unaugmented emotional set is looming over you like a thunderstorm waiting to break.
Mm-hmm.
Bethany, somehow, the schizophrenic sibling, seems to be the more balanced one in the room. How are you thinking about Clara's obvious to you artificial enthusiasm?
So Bethany is trying really hard to be present and like next to Clara, but has fallen back just a little bit because all of the flurry of the introductions is a lot of people still and a lot of noise because all of the chorus girls have exploded in this like, oh, this is this person. And so therefore has edged back slightly towards the bar and looks at the bartender.
Mm-hmm.
Says, what do I need? Like, how, give me, like, just what do I pay you money to give me a thing, charge it to the room, whatever. She's going to get them both drinks, actual drinks.
Yeah, charging it to the room works.
Yeah.
This is the era of verbally charging it to the room.
So she essentially, without the fluster of it, because it is a person, she requests the things she wants, which is probably a gin and tonic and whatever Clara's daytime drink is.
Whiskey. We're just on like whiskey on rocks. Or scotch and water for being fancy. Yeah.
It's whiskey o'clock.
Yeah.
So whiskey o'clock for Clara. So a whiskey, maybe whiskey and soda or whiskey on the rocks for Clara, and then a gin and tonic for Bethany. And if he looks at her confused, she'll tell him the room number.
It's all of this is within his realm of expectation. It's on the hairy edge of it, but this is manageable, and this is also one of these things that is really not his problem.
Yeah.
So he pauses and washes his hands of whatever bar maintenance soap or dyes or whatever he was using, washes his hands and with no flourish, but with an abundance of skill and craft, prepares 2 drinks for you guys. He's been kind of alternating between doing his prep work and then giving water to people, or you know, and so there's a really good chance that he cuts probably twice as many lemons as he has to because the first batch disappear. But Clara, this conversation goes okay. You managed to generally keep yourself in check. But this is in many ways a manifestation of everything you wanted for a long portion of your life. So let's see if you can act under your pressure.
Yep.
Of staring at one of your dreams.
Oh, 6. Nope.
Oh, Clara.
Oh, 5 and a 1.
You don't have enough to do anything about that. You don't have 5 coolness, do you?
Oh God, no. Mm-mm.
Okay. Clara, you think you've got it. You think you've gotten everything under control. You think you've done the appropriate, I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad for you. Tell me everything. I want to hear every portion of it. Da 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 da. And right when you're about to seal the deal, you over commit to something. Frankly, you're too high to really remember exactly what the words were, but it was something that in your head you said, I'm surprised you got this far without any fucking acting ability.
Yeah.
And
okay.
that was in your head, and what came out was a lot closer to your internal monologue than you wished. And the room shuts down. You were a little bit louder than you thought you were. You're a little bit higher and drunker than you probably should be at 10 o'clock in the morning. Your volume is not under your control, and apparently your inner monologue isn't tonight either. Whatever connection you might have had is gone. The backstage of the Tropicana is closed to you unless you can find a very large social crowbar and a very solid place to stand.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And Bethany, you just watched your sister do the verbal equivalent of turning left at a right-hand turn and go right through the guardrail and off the cliff, end of a noir movie style.
Yeah.
Fiery explosion and everything.
Bethany's got the 2 drinks because she still was back at the bar slightly, and comes up and hands Clara her drink. Looks at this girl, that Emile, who she was talking to. Well, I think it's lovely to meet you.
And she gives you the clearly artificial, I'm not going to not smile, but I'm going to put 0 effort into it smile. And Emile with the bright eyes and the high cheekbones and the rosy smile and the dimples seems to be chased away by your sister's inability to hold down a fucking conversation today.
Ben, can I try influence other, as Clara has realized that she has made a fucking large mistake and is still trying to do the social dance, and as she sees Emile pale and sees the girls go quiet and realize she has let her inner monologue out, she's gonna be like, oh honey, you thought I was serious? Oh no!
You can, Clara can say all these things,
Doesn't
but
work.
it's a cat on a glass door.
Mhm.
It's time is going to have to pass, and frankly, you should probably find someone else to attempt to influence. You're going to need to try to get a hold of a stage manager or far-reaching management of the casino to pull some levers on your behalf. But
That's fine. We'll just talk to the mob at some point.
maybe. There's no mafia in Las Vegas in
Oh.
the 50s. Everyone knows that. It's been in the newspaper for years.
I know.
Fine. Clara slightly crumples and takes the drink from Bethany and goes, I'm sorry. I'm happy for you. And with a gentle bow of her head, realizing she cannot save this, she goes, Bethany, why don't we take a walk outside?
That sounds lovely.
And fresh air while she's drinking. But
Okay. Clara, lose one stability for essentially being, in many ways, cast out of your people.
Yep.
Somewhere that should have been a place of refuge is now a place of forbidding.
Yeah.
And that's not good for her, because that's the theme of the day so far.
Got it.
Matthew, how'd you do, brother?
So I'm rolling now, right?
Yes.
I'm like terrified.
It's okay.
So at first I forgot that I'm adding charisma, and I was terrified because I got a 5 and a 3.
Matthew.
But luckily, I have charisma 3, so it is in the 11 range, which means I am in the middle range.
Matthew, I think you're trying to read people, right?
Oh, well, I'm still actually going up a little.
That's intuition.
That's intuition. Let me check. Maybe I am fucked. Let's find out. Intuition, I have 1, so actually, yes, I am fucked.
Okay.
Correct. We should never split the party. Never split the party, we have learned.
We've learned this. So yeah, this is intuition for read a person. I accidentally reveal my own intentions to the person.
That's not great.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's go.
It's a bit early to pee yourself. Matthew, in the beginning of this conversation, there is a hint of something. They're talking the Las Vegas natives, not the ones on vacation, but the people that know Las Vegas, and you're in Las Vegas, and that's where your attention is focused. There is a elephant in the room, and you know it's there, but you can't figure out exactly what it is. And you've been listening and commenting and talking, and you've done a fantastic job. But what you expose is the fact that you didn't really grasp that the elephant in the room was organized crime.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, because that's just not been a world that he's been involved in.
Yeah, in many ways, Matthew is an innocent when it comes to the criminal enterprises.
Yeah, like he's old money. He's not really like that sort of mafia. Like, I feel like that just makes him a target.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Yeah. I like. Part of me is like, I still would like to see if I can do like getting allies, but I feel like these allies are probably going to also be people who like want to totally like read me. like with like influence person, which is also what I was going to do after this. But I'm pretty sure that there are also people who are now very aware that I am in many ways naive when it comes to organized crime.
Yeah, it's your naivete is painfully on display.
Oh yeah.
And it's super awkward and it's super uncomfortable. And once again, you are not in your place of power.
Great.
You are not in your citadel, shall we say. And it shows. It's not comfortable. And the apparatus of authority is different. And you cut yourself on the chain.
Ouch.
It's not a disaster. It caused a significant recalculation in the room. But your pecking order amongst this small group of power brokers is a lot lower now than you wished it was.
Gonna have to work on that going forward.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need to work on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's sort of how he views it. He's like, okay, one step back.
Right now, he thinks you're a dingus.
Yep.
But there is a guy named Frank Parsons. And he is steel adjacent. He does infrastructure. One of the things that he's been doing is getting steel from America and selling it to the people who have been doing rebuilding after the wars in Asia and Japan, and the bases that are being set up in the Pacific. And frankly, he's bought VanHorsts steel, and so you recognize him on paper. You now attach a name to a face. He's never moved enough money to earn your personal attention, but now he's the closest thing you have to a friend.
You know, sometimes you gotta dumpster dive.
Yeah. He's middle management. He's a fixer. He's a trade trader trader. He does not own things. He buys things that other people have and sell them to other people. He is the modern itinerant merchant. And those are not your people. Those are the people you own.
It hurts Matthew in his little capitalist heart.
Yes, absolutely. It should.
But part of the glory of being old money in America is that you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it hurt me too. But yeah, so that's sort of his point on it. Is very much sort of a reassessment of like there is nothing that will make him leave Las Vegas at this point until he has redeemed himself in the eyes of these men because of the fact that he's my toxic masculinity has been threatened by me fucking up real bad. But I'm not going to call it fucking up. I'm going to call it a minor setback. We're going to get back to it.
So I'm
not leaving this fucking town till I have $1 million in deals, even if I have to put a gun to somebody's head.
Hey, wait. I was gonna add something to this because we don't have cell phones. It's 1957.
Yes.
If Clara's taking her and Bethany out for a walk, Matthew's not gonna know where the fuck to find them.
Oh no!
And no. The thing is, Clara's gonna realize, because she also wants to make up for some sort of fuck up. She knows where Matthew is. The girls can't sit down in there, But she can definitely bring herself and Bethany in to meet Market for a moment, look really good, be subservient to Matthew for a second, and then leave. She doesn't know that he needs some social capital, but she would do that whether he was doing great or poorly, because she's got to tell him that, hey, we're going outside anyway. And Clara is constantly socially manipulating everything in life. So if she's gonna swing by and see him to say, don't worry, we're over there, she will do it in a way that makes him look good.
So how does Matthew look when they get there? Does he look as beat puppy as he feels?
I'm going to act under pressure for that because I want to say, of course not. But also, I want to be like, he's been
Yeah, it could happen.
like, yeah. So like, let me do a quick roll to see whether or not he is as like tragic as he actually feels, or if he's able to go through the full conceal, don't feel.
I got a 16 for my read a person. So you might
Nice.
conceal it real well, but sister lover knows.
Oh God. It hurts. So I just got a roll of a 4. I couldn't have gotten the roll of a 14 for intuition.
No, of course not.
But that was so that is a 15 because, or no, a 16 because coolness too. So I'm
good.
definitely doing a real good job of conceal don't feel, though I feel like Clara absolutely notices because she knows all his little tells. They've grown up.
Yeah, she knows something's off. She doesn't realize how off it is.
Yeah, but like he's managing at least to conceal the fact that he's like, well, fuck. But I would want to say that like Clara at least knows like the little things of like that something has shaken him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 2 eyebrow hello as opposed to the 1 eyebrow hello.
It's true.
Yeah.
So he will absolutely go to his sisters and greet them in a brotherly fashion.
And she goes, no, sit down, stay sitting. We're not staying for long. Gentlemen, it's nice to meet you, as she's leaning over and showing gifts that God gave her. And Bethany is being probably very elegant.
Yep.
Yeah. Sit down. We just decided we thought we were going to go on a bit of walk and we didn't want you to worry. But I know that you're doing good work here, so.
I appreciate it.
Sorry to interrupt, boys. And she just gives the biggest smile to any of the guys she feels like are important.
You're not entirely certain because the modes of dress are different.
Yep.
And some of the physical placement of the way people place themselves in authority is a little bit different because this isn't designed to be a gentleman's club. So
Yeah.
those little 2-person tables with the chairs and the ashtray, you don't have that constellation.
Yeah.
By which there is no there is no North Star of authority in this place, but there's a lot of it, and a lot of it is in flux. And clearly, right now, Matthew is not king shit. So, do you want to walk away from your various crash landings together? Or do you want to continue on separate ways?
I think that Matthew will extricate himself as gracefully as he fucking can.
Yeah.
After some time, because like his sort of viewpoint is now is not the time for me to reestablish power. I need to let this be. I need this to be a slower mode. I need this to be something where people question how badly I fucked up, basically. Like it's that sort of thing. Like people don't people's memories of things get fuzzier, especially in social situations after a little bit of time.
So I've been told.
Hopefully, Lord God.
You're on martini 1 of a 3 martini lunch.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And I think that regrouping makes a lot of sense. after like a bit of time, because he can't look like he's like having his sisters drag him away.
Yes.
So I think that's sort of the goal.
So Frank, call me Frankie Perkins, absolutely says that like we should shoot a round of golf and we should like have martinis at the pool, and some other things that aren't quite right. Like there's an awkwardness or there's an incorrectness to him. It's almost as if his social structure has an accent that only you recognize because you speak a particular kind of power, and he's speaking a slightly different form. So maybe it's just a difference in class, but he seems very interested anyway in talking with you. There's enthusiasm and intent, so good, I guess. But he does call you Maddie on the way out. So
it hurts Matthew's soul, but also he's kind of like, I do not know the language of these people. Like, it's that sort of thing of like, if I need to get a translator, I need to get a translator. He's not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth in this situation, even though I'm like, Matthew, maybe you should look a gift horse in the mouth in this situation. There's a lot of organized crime, be worried. But it's fine. I got a 9 on my intuition. So like, I feel like that's sort of where he's at. Is he'll allow the Maddie for now. We'll correct that later.
Okay.
And he'll absolutely exchange business cards, because right now he needs to climb, and to climb you got to put your foot on the bottom rung. Yes,
one way or the other. Sigh. It has not been a good morning for the VanHorsts.
Lord.
Somehow Bethany catching the scent of eternal death seems to be the highlight of the day so far, which is, that's not great.
Bethany is actively concerned for her siblings because she watched Clara tank and walked into the room, and in that room was, yes, the elegant, silent little doll, subservient, not loud woman who does the connections, but like, oh, the one who's over there, like women are supposed to be. And watched like Matthew's read and how Clara acted, and so yeah, she's worried that her siblings are very fish out of water here.
It's a different world. You are not in your places of power, and you didn't think you had places of power until you weren't standing in one. And shit, this ain't it.
Yeah, for all that, it came from some very bad dice rolls. I mean, this is very in theme. Like, legit.
Yeah. That's why they're there. They surprise us sometimes, and that's what makes it fun. So, as we all walk away from these moments, and the siblings will probably take a moment to recalibrate, reconsider, apply makeup, smoke a half a pack of cigarettes. Do we want to take a 2-minute break and refill our drinks?
I'd say like a 5.
Like 5?
Oh yeah, like a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
I'm not that quick.
Okay, that's fine. So let's take a 5-minute break and let's come back and see how they try to recover the rest of their day. Right?
Sounds good.
We'll do our very best.
All right, great.
Thank you all for watching.
Well, VanHorst siblings, it has sucked since you've woken up. Breakfast has gone poorly. Every conversation has crashed and burned. You've figured out new ways to flare out brightly. And they haven't even cleared brunch from the buffet. So you're nothing else if not efficient.
We pride ourselves on our efficiency in the VanHorst family.
You're clearly doing your father proud today.
Oh, it burns.
All right, something that I've said before in our previous campaign, should have started with the heroine.
Yes. Every time you start a game without heroin, you don't roll well.
No, it's awful. Clara needs her like chill out stuff.
Mhm.
So she's gonna go back up to the room and be like, oh, we've collected Matthew. Do we just, Bethany, are you still smelling it? Or do we want to go back to the room?
No, it seems to have faded.
It's the gin helps.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
like
maybe lunch.
Yeah,
Not-
Bethany's gonna have a cigarette is what else she is gonna do to attempt to kill any lingering bits of smell and taste of death with the smell and taste of tobacco. Just destroy those taste buds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cover up the smell, cover up the taste of death with the taste of death. Works
Yep.
every time. 9 out of 10 doctors agree.
Yep. Taste of death she prefers. So
yeah.
So this is 1957, which means that there are ashtrays everywhere, and these ashtrays are fucking branded.
mhm.
So there is the out front of the Tropicana, there is this beautiful concrete fountain, and it looks very much like a combination of a blooming flower or water splashing up. It's gorgeous, it's iconic, and it is their line art branding because it can be accurately described with some very simple line art. So it is that fountain that is sitting in the bottom of the ashtrays with the colored stickums on the bottom. So all of the ashtrays have the little Tropicana. The poker chips also have the little Tropicana, the classical cast plastic poker chips.
Matthew also lights up because this day has not been great and pours himself a healthy dose of bourbon. It's
are we
clear
back in the
now. Yeah, I think this is once we're back in the room. And it's clear that he is like, now that like they're in private with each other, it's clear that he's incredibly frustrated.
So tell us about it.
He is like, his movements are sharp and they're very aggressive. They're not aggressive towards the sisters, but like when he gets out, like when he pulls open the door of the, you know, the alcohol cabinet that they have in the room, like it is, you know, like a slam. And when he takes out the whiskey and he puts it down, it is a loud and jarring noise. Like he's not breaking anything, but it is the movements of someone who wishes that they could break something and is restraining themselves from doing so only because that would cause more problems.
So
Yeah.
hearing all of this, Claire's like went to get her needle. Like she was gonna just go shoot up. Both of you know now, and she stops. She like puts it down and comes up behind Matthew and just touches his shoulders and leans and goes, breathe. I don't know what happened down there. I know that I certainly read a situation horribly wrong, and we are not in our homes, and we are not with the people that we know that we have been manipulating successfully for many years. And whatever happened, we can fix it. I can't fix you if you shatter a scotch glass in your hand.
He will slowly breathe out. I shouldn't need a second chance. I should be doing this on the first try. This is what I have been trained for. And
Arguably bred for.
I went into that place like a ignorant rube, and they treated me as such.
Matthew, I love you. When is the last time that you sat down with criminals and convicts and mobsters? Because that's what's out here. When? You don't have to do that in Pittsburgh.
The fact that I'm not practiced in it doesn't mean that I shouldn't be good at it, Clara.
That's exactly what that means, dear. You know how many times we rehearse every time I was in a show? How you do a dance? Were you good at doing business when you were 12 and Dad pulled you into a boardroom for the first time ever?
So what, is this that I'm 12 again now? That I have to relearn everything from the ground up, Clara?
Not everything. Not everything. But the way you deal with people like this is different. They're harder. There's a few of them in Pittsburgh. That's where I get this. That club that I go to.
Then what, you are the one who's dealt with this. How?
You don't take shit from them. And it's hard to prove yourself when you've never gone to bat with them, when they've never seen you go to the floor for somebody, or lie for them, or risk your life for them, or be blood. We're not their blood. We're not even each other's blood, technically. And that's what people like them care about. Will you spill blood for them, or are you their blood?
So what, we have to get in the dirt with them?
Not exactly. A little bit. Business and money. Being able to pull things out here which aren't exactly legal. I don't know. Maybe they will be around dinner. I need to talk to them. I need to see who they are. The people that I saw back in Pittsburgh are small compared to the money that is out here. We should have gone opposite places. You could have seduced all the dance girls and I could have seduced all the mobsters. We would have been fine.
I'm not going to seduce anyone, Clara. And he strokes her cheek gently. Look. We'll adapt. That's what we'll do.
We will.
This
So
is
stop
just...
blaming yourself.
That's a harder one.
Matthew, is it terribly bad that they're going to underestimate you now?
You are. That's an insightful way to put it. And thank you. He will stroke Claire's cheek and lean against her. That's what we'll do. We'll use it to be better. How did yours go?
I spit in the eye of a 2-bit dance hall girl that I used to know very well and has gained a modicum of power for herself out here. I didn't mean to. I am not in my backyard and I haven't worked on a set of anything in 2.5 years now. So, Bethany, does our room still smell like death?
No.
Okay.
It might have been the waiter.
Might have been the food.
It might have been the food.
Okay.
It's aired out a bit since I couldn't tell who or what. It came in with him, but that was him and the food. So I don't know.
We'll keep an eye out for it if you smell it again.
So,
Were you two at least able to get something to eat?
no. The bar was open.
Well, that's good, at least. Clara, you're better than any 2-bit dancer, no matter what success she's gotten here. You know.
Oh, I know. That's how I messed up. I reminded her of that.
Well, do you hate to be reminded?
We should all find some food in a minute. Just give me a second.
Okay. Do
And
you
she
need
goes,
any help?
no, I'm fine.
All right. So, Clara, I think you're gonna shoot up now.
Yep. She just goes into the
Here.
corner to do her thing. She probably brought enough with her for like a week or two, thinking she would be, if they stay longer, she's going to be able to find a contact out here. But if it was only for a week, she thought she'd be okay.
Well, this is just finding out who the hell used Bertrand Wright's name.
Yeah, so
You know, this in and out, 10 minutes top.
if she dips into her supply right now, it's fine. They're going to go home in a few days.
And frankly, you probably overpacked.
Yeah,
Everything's fine.
everything's fine. So yeah, she's going to go in the corner, but she's still a little private about it. They both know, but she's not shaking. She's not jonesing so hard that like she can't do it herself. It's still kind of embarrassing. It's a thing that beatniks do and criminals, and they're not either of those things.
Yet.
Yeah. So yeah, she goes to use in a corner quietly.
Okay.
Mhm.
You're maintaining your high fairly well, which is good for you now. But when you lose track of time and that crash comes, it's gonna hurt. You
Almost
know,
certainly.
you're taking out a new loan with every new hit.
Yep. But if she maintains that high through dinner and all of these things, she can figure out when she crashes and deal with it later. Right now, it's better for her to be on in her head than to be like jonesing and shaky and not the best Clara she can be.
Okay.
That is her thought.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
let's say that lunch goes by with a minimum of trouble. Time is spent, drinks are had, food is consumed. Good. Were you different people, you might say it's fantastic. Some of the best you've ever had, that it's so high class and fantastic and wonderful, and you'll remember these tastes for the rest of your life, but you are the VanHorsts. And this is Tuesday.
It's not Miss Carmen's cooking.
No, it isn't. No. The South American influence is noticeably absent. You didn't think that you had a taste for certain things until it's not here. And it's things that you can't cover up, that you can't simulate by simply over peppering the food with this pre-cracked little shaker of black pepper, or even the fresh stuff just doesn't work.
It's strange because it's both overly spicy and also tasteless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't say this. The look in his eyes is that sort of thing where he's just like, could be better. He, of course, compliments the chef's cooking, states that it is fantastic, gives a large tip. It is always better to be complimentary.
Yes. And okay, you've managed to order, consume, and pay for a meal
Thank God.
without doing anything wrong, without
We tried.
VanHorst family, social engineers of the East Coast,
Oh my God.
dipshits of the West Coast.
You're welcome.
Without social faux pas, because she doesn't interact with people.
Yeah, I like that Bethany's the only one who like managed to not be a horrible social faux pas, because she was like, I was the smart one. I didn't interact.
It's okay. She's gonna have to at some point, and I'm sure it will go terribly.
It'll go great.
Ben, as we are cutting through the hotel to get lunch and doing things like that, I'm trying to read the room, read people around us, try to get a feel for any social dynamic outside of the theater scene that Clara can. She's just on hyper awareness now and feeling a lot better having used and having food in her. Turns out food's important. So is your very long-term drug addiction of choice. So she feels better.
The gambling floor, which is where I think is the next place as we examine the hotel. The good news is the gambling floor is beautiful with reaching the entire length. So this is a very long room. The entire length of it with, I shit you not, a archway of Tiffany glass and crystal. The entire top of this is a beautiful ornate piece of stained glass. It is in ambers. It's in lots of ambers, blues, some reds, but it's mostly very honey colored, and it is spellbinding in its complexity. Bethany, as you look up at it, there is a psychic suction in the design, not from the design, but from your own mind, that the fractal complexity of it will eat you if you stare too deeply into it. The shape, the design, the complexity, all of the different bezels of the glass, all the different fat stuff up there. There's a lot of angles and shapes and intersections, and you can see infinite honey dipped versions of the room in there. And it is a beautiful, dangerous thing.
I don't know if she can stop looking at it, but she'll reach out, and whichever sibling is directly in front of her, like, just touch at their arm to, like, have some sort of grounding influence on that ability. But I don't know if she can stop looking at the glass.
Okay. Matthew, it's very strange because it's not a sensation that you experience very often. There is a pocket of your jacket. It's Bethany, but she's kind of reaching out for you, but she's staring up at something, not in horror, but in a very, very strange look on her face. And she's reached out to you, but it's not as in control as she's been recently.
He looks back at Bethany and sees her gaze and follows it to the crystals. I mean, they're beautiful.
It's kaleidoscopic.
It's gorgeous. I think I'd like to use my second hold, if that's possible. I don't know if it's just gorgeously made, and that's fine, and it's just nothing.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Hi guys, we're back. We've left Xfinity behind for the night. We have now entered the green hell. But the particular hell that the VanHorsts siblings are in is the one where they've gotten nothing right since they woke up. After a therapeutic bout of angst at each other, and Bethany, as usual, providing incisive insight, Clara has shot up. Matthew has concealed all of his inappropriate emotions. And now a light lunch.
Yeah.
So lunch was had, and we went to investigate the casino floor, where at this point Bethany is reaching out in more ways than one, flailing and attempting to acquire Matthew's attention,
Yes.
or at the very least use him as an anchor.
Yeah.
Because she is getting lost in the kaleidoscopic mayhem that is the something like 80 feet of Tiffany cut glass in the ceiling.
Does there seem to be more to the glass than what actually is there, or is it just this is a lot?
It's just a lot.
That's fine. Matthew will basically gently reach back along Bethany's arm and place his hand at the small of her back and kind of help guide her through the hallway. This is something that he's pretty used to at this point. They started this, I would say about 3 years ago, I think was when season 1 occurred. And that sort of anchoring her to reality aspect of their relationship is something that he's grown almost instinctually used to.
Very true.
The movement is very fluid. It is very instinctual. It is very much kept to propriety, but it is very much that sort of thing of just gently guiding her through to try to make it as seamless as possible, that he is simply helping her make her way down and not guiding someone whose mind might not necessarily be seeing things that are always there.
Yeah, this is just a nice man giving a guiding hand to a lady of which he is clearly familiar. Everything is fine. This is normal.
Clara does the thing where she pulls out 2 cigarettes, lights both of them, and then gently gives one to Bethany, even if she has to put it in her mouth. Go, you'll feel better, honey. Come on.
They're a medical tool at this point.
They are.
Yeah, and I think that much amount of stimulus from both of the siblings means that she can stop at the at the ceiling once she knows that there's the anchor that is Matthew, and Clara has given her the nicotine moment. The sensation of here is enough that she cannot be lost in the Tiffany glass.
For better or for worse, your siblings are quite experienced in grounding you, Bethany.
Yeah. I think it's just a lot. I don't think it's a thing.
It's not as loud as you would expect it to be in a modern day casino. There's not a monstrosity of speakers jutting out of every electronic slot machine. All of the sounds are still mechanical, but there is a beautiful / overwhelming sound of machinery at work as all of these beautifully crafted, intricate pieces of machinery perform their function. There are roulette tables. There is blackjack. There, of course, are slots. There are many, many vices of probability here.
I would say that there's a moment when they come into the room, the great casino floor, when they're hearing all of this, right? And because it's the machinery, because it's not this sort of thing that we would see nowadays, where it's that sort of electronic, but it's that precise machinery. There is a moment where even Matthew kind of closes his eyes, because this is something that is both alien and familiar. You know, the idea of the precise mechanical parts working in perfect conjunction is something that is both something that has terrified him every night and something that has drawn him every day. And I think that his hand tenses slightly against the small of Bethany's back, and he closes his eyes just for a moment to listen, because it is impossible for him not to feel both repulsed and drawn by it.
That's very fair.
Mhm.
That is very fair.
Clara
So,
does it too, and she looks at both of them because she hasn't had the dreams. She hasn't had them since this happened. So she hasn't seen Metropolis in 3 years. And this is the first time, so she just kind of pauses and goes, "It sounds a little bit like Metropolis. I didn't think I'd miss it."
But here we are.
One day.
One day.
One day.
It'll be home properly one day.
One day.
And you take a breath.
Do you think they did that on purpose?
I don't think they know.
There's always going to be reflections. That's the point, right?
Think we're trying to build Metropolis here. Elysium can't contain it. I don't.
We're always going to have pieces. That's the problem. They give us pieces and fragments and
But
crumbs.
stopped him. So can he do more now? Did he cycle us back?
What, honey?
I said, can he do more now if they can't cycle us back? Who's in charge of where the souls go now that he's a baby?
He's not the only one.
I know, but he was, I don't know.
We can't ever let them try.
No.
No, our lives here, who we are as the VanHorsts, what we were made, matter.
Yes.
But if there are other people here, if there is some design here that this was deliberately designed, maybe I'm just seeing shadows and this is not some deliberate design of Elysium to look like this.
We don't know
Maybe I'm
yet.
wrong.
We'll never. No, that's not right.
You don't know, we'll never know.
We don't know yet. Let's hear, let's feel, and let's move forward onto the floor, because some people are starting to stare at us.
Walking
And that's super true. That's super true. You are a knot of 3 fantastically dressed people who have shrieked to a halt and had serious ass conversation, trademark, in the middle of the gambling hall.
Yeah. And Matthew notices when people look. So he is like, let's go forward. And he will just continue on in there.
And now having used, Claire's going to put one arm through Matthew, just in case she totally spaces out. But she's going to tap into enhanced awareness again, because she's looking to see if this is deliberate. She's curious if this was designed after the machinery and Metropolis and temptation and addiction, because gambling is an addiction, and other things. And so, yeah, she's just doing that, and I really hope I got the bad rolls out. It would be awful to roll them.
I'm hoping that my ISP crashing has lightning rodded all of our probability.
Oh, good, 12.
Okay,
Yes.
I don't know if I add anything to that. I forget what enhanced awareness is. I think it's intuition.
Is this just the basic see through the illusion or enhanced awareness?
No, it's enhanced awareness.
Let me look.
It doesn't matter. My intuition is a 2, so I'd only be at 14.
Yeah.
So I got the 11 to 15 spot. Doesn't mean I break the illusion. That's fine.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
But she's looking at their environment. Again, that's what she was trying to look at.
Clara, that's plus soul.
Oh.
Oh, well, check, babe, because
My soul isn't a +3. No, it's also +2, sadly.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Yep. One off. Wow.
The illusion is not seemingly weak here. There is no other presence pressing against the wall of reality here that would affect things. This is that ape called man and his desire to do ever complicated things with their existence. That's what this is. This is this is the continuation of going from cave paintings to shadow puppets to intricate marionettes to the clockwork gyrations of beautifully handmade clocks to the finery of a Swiss watch. This is that human impulse, that desire to create and to manipulate and to shape.
They can probably feel or see like a little bit of disappointment come through her body, and she just shakes her head and goes, it's not a metropolis. It's normal. I'm just seeing things.
No.
The desert is right there. Raw, untamed nature is a 3-minute walk. You could get the keys off of Matthew, get in the car, drive over the curb, and drive into the desert and be in the middle of nowhere. You could be lost in sandy nothing before you ran out of gas. This is not the eternal city because the death of all cities is right over there nibbling at the fucking lawn.
It's okay that we always remember where we came from.
We do.
And Matthew will take Clara's arm as she gives it to him. He will keep his other hand firmly on Bethany's back, and he will walk them through.
Okay.
Because let's see the sights.
That's a fucking player.
Yes.
With his sisters, but yeah, sure.
I know it's his sisters, but Matthew looks like such a fucking player in this.
It's true. It's true.
As you start walking away, having kind of recalibrated yourselves and recovered yourselves, there is maybe what could be considered a cigarette girl or a drink runner or one of those ladies whose jobs are to provide simple tasks and be pretty in her skimpy little wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
Because casinos, 50s. And she comes over and it's Bethany, you recognize this look the most.
Mm-hmm.
This is the look of someone who has noticed something irregular and has been instructed to see if you are okay. This is the envoy of authority coming to make sure that that you're not uncomfortable, that you're not broken in such a way that's uncomfortable for people around you. This isn't about you. This is about decorum. This is about disrupting the space. They don't give a fuck about you.
Right.
as much as they will talk like they do, this is just what they do when they don't like the way you're acting. When they can't handle you, this is their weakness, not yours.
But Bethany knows how to fix it. So she puts on her most placating, like, not quite, this is my fault, but I'm going to engage with you in a way that makes you feel like everything is okay. That's sort of like, nope, I'm gonna engage with you to reassure you that whatever thing was wrong is fine.
Okay. And she comes over and her voice is artificially light. It's low in case something is wrong. She doesn't want people to listen to the conversation. So it's a genteel, hello, is everything doing okay over here? Can I get you a drink? Do you need to know where something is? What, you know, I don't give a shit about you, but I want you to stop being disruptive to our intricate machine.
It definitely orders drinks. It's the cigarette girl, so buys cigarettes off the cigarette girl and has her, like, send our order to the bar, like, engages in the machine. Probably.
Okay. And I presume also an adequate tip.
Oh yes.
Your ability to buy. Okay.
Yep.
So you perform the rituals and you make an offering.
Yeah.
And the machinery of the hotel recognizes you as normal again.
Yep.
We're all dealing with it.
Yay.
Yep. And wherever
Yay.
Bethany's arm is, because he has his arm at the small of her back, so hers is somewhere up to, like, his shoulder or somewhere in his back, because that's just where that, like, arm thing reaches. Like, in that there's a slight tightening at her hand to, like, imply that this is an important interaction to Matthew.
Yes.
It's a very, like, sibling or whatever. It's a very, like, this is a social gesture about a social thing, especially because Bethany is the one who just did the things at a person.
Yes. And Matthew absolutely, like, also engages in the ways that are appropriate. Like, the way that he is attempting to play it off basically is that they just had to have, like, you know, it was their first time coming here. They love how things are done. They're looking at everything. It is so wonderful. They will continue moving on because they are just so delighted to be here.
Everything is fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything is fine.
We were just staring at your beautiful ceiling. I heard it's all Tiffany glass. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I love Tiffany.
It is.
I love everything that's coming out of that company. It's so beautiful.
The cigarette girl agrees, and she launches into what is probably about a 50 to 100 word prepared little thing about how many pieces there are and where they made, and it was delivered whole from wherever Tiffany makes their things, and it was assembled and da. You know, it's a resort, and part of the manifestation of wealth as power and elegance as authority is that you need to know how much effort it took to make the beautiful thing happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is clearly not this poor, probably 17, 18, 19-year-old girl's statement, but as a proxy of the hotel, as a proxy of the authority. She is informing you of all of the different rituals that were done to bring that ceiling about. Yeah. As we all know, is very important. Super, super important.
I mean, I think that Matthew probably also drops such things as, you know, we've always loved, you know, when we've been able to have, you know, our small, you know, our aspects of being able to use Tiffany's and to have classes, you know, in our homes. And to see it done on such a large scale is, you know, something that we had to take a moment to take in fully and to appreciate fully. And like the way that he's basically playing it off is the idea of, because he's still trying to be like, there, for Matthew, it's always about hierarchy. And it can't just be, it can never just be, oh, I was so impressed with you thus I had to take a moment. It will always have to be, I understand this aspect. And, because obviously, like, a normal person's home isn't going to just have, like, a Tiffany's fucking thing. But, like, I had to appreciate it as it should be appreciated, et cetera, et cetera. And I'd actually like to see if I can influence person in the sense of giving the impression, not just on her, but, like, generally, that, like, the way that we were is such that, like, we were not necessarily awkwardly standing and talking about something that really shouldn't be talked about. But instead is that we were, as connoisseurs of such delightful and wealthy things, giving it the respect and desire that it should have.
Okay. The way I heard that is that you are kind of doing a social flagging, indicating that you might be what could be considered a high roller.
Yes, absolutely.
Or a high money guest. Is that kind of is that sort of the process that you're attempting?
And I would say that this is less about, like, because that would be useful, and more because of Matthew's pride. Like 100%.
It's fine.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I definitely went on a dumbass deep dive about.
Yeah.
Tiffany had a country home somewhere and it burned down at some point and it was very sad. I'm trying to figure out when the fire was because I have a lot of feelings about something.
Oh my lord. But no, he did not go on the deep dive himself. But I would say that I'm delighted by the fact that you have it. But yeah, like it's definitely that he is trying to flag himself as someone who has power. And in this world, power is money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
As your father told you in the will, money is the purest expression of power, and power is the purest expression of authority.
Yeah, which hurts me in my soul out of character, but in character.
Terrible! It's horrible. It's vicious and nasty and mean. Yeah,
I love it.
Great.
It actually gives me an idea that unless she does more, other than go away and get our drinks, Clara has an idea of where we should go next.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. Matthew, just give me a quick influence other roll to see if you can essentially social engineer the idea that the VanHorsts are high rollers without walking in somewhere and throwing an unreasonable amount of money at it.
Well, seemingly resetting the router helped because I got a 9 and a 5, and then I have plus 3. So that is 17. 17.
Mm-hmm.
We fancy.
Yes. You have by the time you are done talking to this girl, she has gone from service face to that kind of non-specific. It's not a crush, it's not attraction, but it's that kind of. It's that somewhat unpleasant, uncomfortable response to power, where she's not particularly enthralled with Matthew, but she's drawn to the manifestation of what he's doing, which is expressing wealth and power and authority.
Correct.
And it grabs her for a minute, and you have a very real feeling that is the way she is going to kind of be virally spread the idea that you might be someone that the casino should pay more attention to.
As she should.
Yes.
As she should. As this is all the way everything should be. This is simply the way the world should turn.
I have a very slight screen projection because I just found the thing I meant to look up.
Yes.
Okay, which is so Louis Tiffany of Tiffany's had a house that was his country house on Long Island, and it burned down in 52. So part of all of like Bethany's feelings about Tiffany and Tiffany Glass and Tiffany being here is that it was a different place and a different place away, but that house burned down a year before our game started. So she has a lot of feelings about Tiffany Glass.
Thank you for lending me our history of people.
How can I turn down enthusiasm? Okay. So we're coming towards the end of our stream, and sorry for the interruption, but we're coming towards the end of the stream. So meeting with some of the capital A authority of the Tropicana is going to have to wait till next game 2 weeks from now. But because it's going to take more than 5 minutes.
No, that's super valid.
Valid.
Well,
Remember,
the thing that I was going to
Yeah, I was going to
notebook.
ask what Clara's goal was.
Yeah.
Clara's
Yeah, absolutely.
goal was especially late afternoon on a weekday in a casino, was to go dip past the high rollers room, especially with what Matthew just did. Erica worked in a casino for a very long time. I used to be a dealer. With what Matthew just did, the casino authorities should now be getting word that we need our own personal host. The moment somebody flashes that much money on a casino, especially if we just even dip into the high roller room, it is these are going to, I mean, we'd call it a black card in modern casinos, but these are people who will come and maybe spend $1 million here or more. They have that amount of money. You need your own personal host. They shouldn't have to ask for it. We should know who these people are. That's the way casinos actually work. So Clara's thought, we should just dip into the high rollers room because Clara wants to see who is here on an afternoon gambling and what is that social hierarchy. Because there probably isn't the ownership of the Tropicana there. They might dip through just to see how things are going, especially since they opened. But there is absolutely going to be a mob boss or two there, somebody from a competing family who is also watching things there. Like, this is who has $500 to $1,000 a hand to blow on blackjack on Wednesday at 4 p.m. They're gonna be there. So she wants to go through and see.
Good.
And play.
There are people there.
Yeah.
There are people there, and I am entirely unprepared to tell you about them.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Because that's where
But we'll learn.
Because it's quiet.
Yeah. But let's also recall So we're in the end of May, and let's remember that at the beginning of May, which is part of the conversation that you are going to have with your contact, this guy from the Nevada Gaming Control Board, which is, by the way, only 2 years old right now. So that still has the new agency smell. Let us recall
bribes
that
are
at the beginning. That the thing that got this terrible ball rolling was that a mob boss named Frank Costello was shot in New York City on May 2nd. And the bullet did one of those crazy trauma physics thing where it hit him in the head and then it Tony Hawked around his skull and creased him as opposed to cracked him.
Yeah.
So one of the things that the police found inside his coat pocket was the exact to the penny gross winnings from the Tropicana from about a week before he was shot. And talking about things like markers, how much the slot machines got, and then where some of that money went out of the Tropicana's pockets to unknown people. That is all you guys know about that, because that is all that was on the newspaper reels for a while. That was a national news story. It was a big thing. There has been a lot of chatter about the influence of organized crime in the gambling of Nevada. Lots of people loudly asserting that there is no organized crime in Nevada in gambling, and I swear to God, there's no mob here. But that's not true. So that is the newspaper clipping that, quite frankly, one of you probably have at least a couple versions of tucked into your suitcase.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that is the inciting incident that, in the police's investigation, the name of the bastard, Bertrand Wright, came up, somehow connected to that little piece of paper. which is what you are going to figure out at dinner, which is going to happen. It's going to be a 2-week-long wait between lunch and dinner. Terribly sorry.
I'll get so hungry, but it'll taste
my
all
God.
the better for it.
It's okay. Lunch is really good. We all skipped breakfast.
Yeah. Clara just did heroin. She won't be hungry till like Friday.
No, but I got one other thing to do since there's
Yeah.
nobody interesting in the high rollers room.
Oh, there's a lot of interesting people. They're just it looks like there's a lot of money on the table.
There is.
So you see a lot of faces and you go, okay, there's people to talk to. And you tag on noses and cheekbones and ears and foreheads and hairlines and all of those little identifiers that'll let you think about those people, ask about those people, and look for them later. But right now, there is so much money on that blackjack table that your life may possibly be in danger.
Yeah.
Should you engage with that table at this very moment? Like the air pressure in the room is going up and up and up. The barometer is just spinning. So
She doesn't want to talk to them. She's going to go up and look at the table and goes, I'll wait till the next shoe, which is the polite thing to do. Addiction feeds addiction, vice feeds vice. Clara knows how to gamble, especially blackjack, where your odds are like 47.2% if it's a 2-deck shoe, which is what this should be, which means they're going to be through their cards in about 3 to 5 hands, depending on how many players are at the table. So she's going to wait until the shoe is up and then get into the hand for what is a fucking ridiculous amount of money.
Fantastic.
okay.
We've decided blackjack is going to be Bethany's game for the amount of quiet and seriousness that the table exists at.
All she wants to do is us to play 2 or 3 shoes,
Yeah.
show our money, get away $1,000 up or $1,000 down, which is what it should be at a high roller table in 1957, and leave and be like, oh yeah, we do have dinner reservations. Thank you. She will finish
Yeah.
out the
Show
shoe.
ourselves
very
as what we
polite.
are.
Yes.
Weird thing will be the women. There is a woman who knows what she's doing, and if that's Bethany's game, that is the weirdest thing about
Like,
this.
that's fine because like literally trolling through all of the available things, the easiest thing to buy into is blackjack. It's not hard. It's not slots, which is too much noise despite being a personal game. And it's not roulette, which is also too much noise in the too much chance. So of the like spread of casino games that are easy, blackjack is the one that Bethany would buy into to play.
Yep.
Like character based.
And the biggest thing you have to know is to wait for the shoe to be out, because that's how you curse people's luck. If you break the shoe, or you make things fine because you were polite. And if you know to do that, then clearly you know how to play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Beth doesn't know how to play, but she knows that's her game. So
between what Matthew, let's ask you, are we flopping the gender roles? Are you standing behind the big rollers, like with your hip cocked, holding their drinks? or are you sitting down at the table?
I think that Matthew has to sit down at the table because that's who Matthew is. Yeah. But there's a level of like, of course my sister can sit down at the table. Like, she's family. I couldn't have her not let her, and like the sort of idea of like, of course I would indulge my sisters to allow them to sit down at the table. Oh, they're winning? Good job. How lovely that my sisters are winning so much. I'm so proud of you. And like, it takes that sort of aspect of like, they're allowed to be here because I am here. But it also is like, oh, they happen to be winning a lot. Good job for that.
Woohoo. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is what we'll say, because I want to make sure that you are introduced to some of these people with enough time to make it accurate and fun. So a lot of the big rollers, as the shoe finishes, apparently that was the end of whatever great and terrible thing was happening. So there's a lot of people that walk away. There's a lot of chips and various things and discussions of, well, you know, you're going to go have dinner. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I've heard you got a room at the Sands this week too. What are you doing? You double timing? You know, there's lots of those big money casino conversations. And so it seems that you guys almost have the casino, or at least this table, to yourself. There's but what you do have is you have your own dealer, and they're very nice. And who is there that does not introduce themselves to you, but gives you a, hi, I see you, we might talk later, if you manage to follow through on the social ritual that you're engaged with, is what is almost guaranteed to be one of the floor managers.
Okay.
We'll take it.
Of some undistinguished Latin American descent, not so profoundly like First Nation / Latin American that he wouldn't be able to get a job in this shitty fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
But with dark skin and beautiful hair, and you know, just a lot of facial features, skin tones, hair tones, and hairstyle that do say South America. And he gives you a very polite, very smooth nod, and it feels very old world. Mm-hmm. It feels very much so like the old Major Domo, God rest his soul. That gentle, like, I see you, I acknowledge you, I welcome you, everything is as it should. You know, there's a grace to that he gives.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so what we'll do is to see how we manage to see whether or not we make any money on this social ritual. And we're right on time, so we'll see if we make any money. Mm-hmm. Just roll 2d10.
Okay.
And we'll use the values of the success. 9 and lower is a general loss. 10 to 14 is adequately breaking even. And 15 and plus is a tangible gain.
15.
I got an 11.
Bethany definitely lost. She got a 6.
Oh, baby.
That's okay. Clara got a 15. That was Clara's goal, especially if Bethany is learning blackjack and is not, like, she hasn't come in as a shark. Clara's a fucking shark. She is an addict. She has gambled as long as she's been doing heroin, because that's what you do in some of the clubs.
Right. No,
she can get the stuff she wants.
Bethany's
so she expects Bethany to lose because she's not treating Bethany like a child at a table. Yeah. She's going to teach Bethany the rules and some of the basic math, but she's not going to tell Bethany the moves Bethany has to make, especially if we got the table to ourselves.
Yeah.
This is where you teach. This is not where you do like, no, don't you dare hit that 17. Everybody's going to murder you. Because nobody else is there.
As soon as the other people in the room realize that you're sitting at one of the high fucking roller tables doing introduction to blackjack, you are profoundly alone.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
You probably could have moved your bowels on the chair and received more company than the statement of, if you go over 21, it's called a bust and you lose all your money.
Well, what Clara would have done. I'm
not sure if we want to do like the 101 on the table.
No, if people were getting up, if people were getting up.
Let Bethany talk.
I was going to say, no, I think that's smart though, is that like in the assessment of like Bethany's walk through the space is, this is my game. Because that was literally the thing that happened. It's like, she doesn't know how to play. Bethany does not know how to play blackjack, but she's like, this is my game. This is where, if you let me go be alone later, this is where I'm going to be comfortable. This is my game. And I feel like the high roller VanHorsts sibling bullshit power move to make is, let me teach you how to play blackjack on the high roller table, my dear younger sister.
With $100,000 chips.
Yeah.
Just, as just ablative educational money.
At the chips and how it works in the system, and she loses because she loses bad. Yeah, it's a 6. She loses bad. But with money that doesn't matter. Because we're still us.
And that's really,
it doesn't matter.
yes. And that is the thing, is when you identify that this kind of money is inside your disposable income wallet, that's the signal that you need to send.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that
so
also,
that was a fucking,
yeah. I think it also makes a lot
weird
of
flex,
sense.
but okay.
But weird flex, but like also where everybody rolled and what they rolled, like Bethany should have tanked super hard. She's not, she doesn't know the game, she doesn't know how it's played. Matthew can do kind of okay because he gets it, and Clara knows her shit because she's really good. So in that realm of stuff, being like, this is where we teach Bethany how to play this game at the table that everybody else wants to be on, means that like Bethany's on the level of like, this is the table everybody plays at. But also, hi, this is your baby on the high roller table, because that's a thing.
Well, I will
Yeah,
definitely say that Matthew's job in this, and I think it fits very well with the fact that he got a middle of the road answer, is like Matthew's job in this, like Matthew's goal in this, is that he is there to be the entry point for Clara and Bethany. Like there are ways that like he is basically leveraging his ability to be there automatically to be that his sisters can be there. And one of them is like a baby. And one of them is like fucking baller. And what does that say?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so like that is also like a lot of what he's doing. And what I like about that is that he's not necessarily trying to show whether or not he is purposely trying to be middle of the road. Because it makes sense if he was purposely trying to be middle of the road in a situation like this, where it's like,
Well,
let my sisters come sit.
I can see Clara going, balls to the wall, so to speak, in terms of her betting style. Because if Clara has developed her gambling habits when she's in need of heroin,
Yeah.
that's a pretty wackadoo mindset to be learning how to be developing habits in. And I can honestly see Bethany, as soon as she grasps the probability at play and the patterns at play, as soon as that starts clicking in, I could see Bethany falling in love with the pattern of the game and forgetting to play the game to win.
Yes.
For now.
Both of those things, yes.
And good old-fashioned, two-engine steamboat Matthew going right down the middle of the river, holding at 17, performing all of the
He's too by
exactly
the
appropriate
book.
blackjack rituals. Yes. It just, you can hear like the Psalm of Hoyle being sung by Matthew as he plays his hands.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's take this little bit of a debrief of poker and turn it into a debrief of the game, because we're getting about there.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
So, guys, how are we doing?
Good.
It's exciting to see them in this sort of new setting where they're kind of fish out of water. It's not what we've been used to for a while, because we kind of we finished our season 1, so to speak, with them kind of I don't want to just say balls to the wall, because I feel like that's not enough to put it. Like they were.
I mean, so here's the thing: is we kept talking about communists, and I'm not like Matthew and Bethany did paint the room red, but with people's blood.
Yeah, like we went some choice places. And I think that this was a really good game because it kind of reintroduced where we were 3 years later. And I think it was good that it was a slower game, and that it was a game that didn't have like a lot of like, I don't want to say that it didn't have a lot of intensity, because we definitely had some moments between Matthew and Clara where I'm like, I love you so much. I'm sorry that Matthew cares more about how people perceive him than the people he loves. Well,
Fine.
It's a thing.
For me, it was great because, yeah, and thank you for anybody who's still watching, even after our hiccups. We're glad you were here.
Thank you.
Getting an audience in on a campaign we have been playing for a while. I'm glad that we went back to a reset of we're all on new footing. This is a brand new story, but we can start at those highs. We know what Matthew and Clara's relationship is. We know how to handle Bethany's schizophrenic, you know, if she's having a bad day, which she was. We know how to navigate that dramatically interestingly for all of us. So everybody just got to see the good drama, even if we are starting out somewhere we don't know how to be and we don't know what's going on. And
We don't know what's going on, but we know exactly who's here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's actually a good way of putting
And
it.
honestly, I super adored, as I said, when sadly the internet decided to die for Ben. So he missed a lot of this. Was that Bethany, because she chooses not to engage socially 90% of the time because of a lot of the things that have happened to her prior to game one, like season one, was that Bethany didn't have social hiccups because she didn't engage socially. But she observed them for both of her siblings, which put her in a caretaker role, which Bethany finds particularly emboldening, because Bethany gets to feel more like a person when she's allowed to take care of other people, because it means she's not so bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, that is the thing, is when both Matthew and Clara did badly and Bethany had not, and be like, oh no, but I told Matthew the correct thing to like reframe his entire bad, and I gave Clara the drink she needed at the time she needed a drink because stuff had happened. Like, that Bethany actually has better social navigation than she trusts, because Bethany does have better like social navigation than she trusts sheet wise. Like, she doesn't trust it at all, but it's there. And that, oh, my siblings are both out of water, I have to take care of them a little bit. And that gets very superseded by like, this ceiling is pretty, I have lost myself forever. But in that, like, it's a very interesting way to play with the power dynamics within the family.
I agree wholeheartedly.
It's really cool. And also the like, that Bethany is the one who realizes more than the other two, or did realize immediately more than the other two, that they were all out of water. And so where to move to fit in and how to fix it. And why the like, oh, they've come over and the cigarette girl came over, and like, maybe the siblings will pay attention because Bethany's going to take charge in this social interaction, which never happens, to take charge of that because she knows how bad they're doing and she knows how to fix it when it's going poorly. Is a weird place for her, but is a power place for her. So that was cool for me to get to do.
I agree.
That like Bethany is like, no, everything's fucked up, but I know how to deal with fucked up, so I'll navigate this for us to the place where we can fix ourselves.
I think in about 6 games we're going to be really happy that both of you failed those roles so absolutely terribly, because I think that in the classic try-fail cycle, you know, we've got the beginning of a try-fail cycle, which is just part of the classic storytelling. So I think that having that start off with capital F fail, egg on the face, you know, disaster behavior is going to be something to overcome. And it's going to be an inside you guys thing to overcome.
I feel like no, you go.
No, go. I was gonna say it was really beautiful for Bethany to be like, have a holding the like, is it so bad that they're gonna underestimate you, Matthew, the next time that you like try to interact with them?
That killed me.
Was so like, I literally like
because we've had that conversation in season 1. We had that conversation with Matthew being like, oh, people underestimate you, blah 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 blah. And so like I had to about that.
So having that be a moment and having like literally watching the whole thing happen, and Bethany is watching like the Matthew Clara scene moment happen, even though she's in the room and like smoking and drinking or whatever, and she's letting her siblings get their shit out until they're ready to listen, and then be like, Matthew, is it really so bad? Is it really so bad that they are going to underestimate you the next time that you interact with them? And he's like, oh, it was beautiful for her. It was so beautiful for her. And then also like all of Clara's things. And it is a very weird thing where like, because Bethany depends so much on her siblings' social success to navigate the world. She does. She knows they're better at it than she is. But they both just fucking flubbed real hard in front of her. Real hard. And she's kind of like, oh, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I can flub socially too, and the world will not immediately end.
A crack in the world will not open up beneath your feet and swallow you. Yeah.
Yes, because that's what she's scared of at this point in time, is like, the world will end if we do this badly.
Erica, I haven't heard a lot from you, and I want to hear
Please.
from you.
No, it was really interesting. Flubbing that, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think completely set the campaign for me. Because Clara went into this going, oh, maybe I could go back to my stardom days. Maybe I could, I know these people. I've at least worked on a movie set with these people. I know this lifestyle. And then she walks back into it and shoves her foot directly into her mouth immediately. And she's like, oh, well, maybe not. But you know what I know? Drugs and illegal illicit dealings and social manipulation. So I don't know if she's going to completely give up that dream and just be like, I'm going to go figure out this mob bullshit and this casino bullshit and be the best shark and best mall that I know how to be. But I think she might. Like, I think this might be the thing that leans her really hard into that noir, femme fatale, violent side that we decided when we rebuilt her sheet. I could be wrong, but I think it's really interesting to be like, well, bye to that dream. I've kind of said it was going to fuck off a few years ago anyway, and I guess this is proof. So that was interesting. And the other interesting thing is playing a long-term addict versus somebody who's been struggling with it for a while, but was still pretty new to the game, so to speak. And just, it's okay if I just take a little bit every day. It keeps me even. I know how to do this. I haven't OD'd yet. It's been 3.5 years since I've been on the stuff. And that very uncomfortable, it's a really uncomfortable place to look at that sort of addiction and look at somebody who excuses it to themselves and has adapted their entire life to be able to revolve around this and excuses around this, that it's just it's a household thing that happens. And I know it's going to bite her in the
confidence, right?
But also I want to say, because I want to say, like, both Bethany and Matthew support her.
I don't want to call it support. I want to call it enabling. They enable her, and that's the big thing.
Call it enabling, because I know that Bethany, like, legitimately supports her in an unhealthy fashion.
Matthew supports her in an unhealthy fashion too, but the fact that they're both supporting her in an unhealthy fashion, that's enabling her to do this.
Yeah, it's
sure. But like, technically, specifically, Bethany has some amount of vials of like Azadeva dream influence kicking around that she fucking stole from the ladies when she set
remember that
her house. And didn't ever come up, but the idea of like, if Clara needs a better time or a better dream or a better whatever, like slipping her that, like, I feel like Bethany's support is past enabling. That's the thing.
That's true.
Is that she is slightly past the enabling point of I will give you the dream of the drug that you need to function.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Bethany giving her siblings to function is slightly more important to her than their well-being, because it's Bethany and she doesn't work without her siblings functioning. And that's a weird self-preservation, so she will definitely make you function to your detriment. I'm sorry.
All right. I think we're going to keep unpacking for a while.
Yeah.
I think we've got a lot to say, and
sorry,
I think we're going to keep. No. But I love it though.
Well, I feel like one thing that I just wanted to say as like kind of an ending thing that is helpful to know, just because of the fact that people didn't see our season 1, is that the siblings kind of moved from a thing of acceptance, which was important to them, like they accepting each other and accepting each other's flaws. And I feel like season 2 is seeing the darker side of what that acceptance is, where they have moved from acceptance to codependence.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking too. Good job. Good call.
Yeah, and so those, and I feel like that's a thing that I just want to mention on the stream.
Yes.
I want to make sure that is known, that we also understand that they are not though they are all the hallmarks of an incredibly supportive group, an incredibly loving group, that they are also 100% in a toxically codependent situation at this point, because they have gone through so much horror together, and they kind of have become like that sort of thing where like only we understand each other and only we can know each other enough to challenge each other. But because of that, you know, Matthew's toxic masculine bullshit is not never, but like is currently not being like, you know, confronted, and Clara's, you know, addiction isn't being confronted, and Bethany's, you know, magic stuff, which is did not come up this time, but is gonna, is not being confronted. And I think that codependence that they have because of what they've gone through is going to be a really core aspect of how their relationship evolves, and I'm super excited about it.
No, I think it's really important, by the way, to be like, it's not just like Clara and Matthew are very codependent because of their relationship. It is that the three of them are very codependent together.
Oh, yeah.
That's very apparent in the way that they are caretakers of each other's trauma and each other's realities.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, the three of them are a unit, even though, like, though only two of them are a romantic unit. All three of them are a unit. And that, like, the romance aspect doesn't change that.
No, yes.
So
Anyway,
thank you all for
game.
watching us be toxic, and thank you for listening to the top of our debrief. This is why we debrief really hard, because these relationships are really toxic, and KULT is a game where you can lean into them really hard, and we appreciate that a lot.
So thank you very much. Thank you to the people who have helped us behind the scenes tonight. We really appreciate you, and we will see you again very soon, but not soon enough.